I'm excited to get to know more. And yes, of course, I'll be watching.
Have you been watching Michelle's season so far?
Of course.
Thoughts on the final 3, and what kind of advice, or what do you wish you knew before going into Fantasy Suite Week?
Oh gosh, those are good questions. Obsessed with her top 3. I was obsessed with her top 4. I think we're just Tayshia season 2. You see these guys that are like, wow, how do you eliminate anybody? And I think that she, based on what we see, I think she did a good job narrowing it to 3. But I mean, Brandon, every time I stop watching the episode, I go to Sean Lowe and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, he loves her so much. He's in his ITM saying, I just want to marry her, like with conviction. And he's like, are you sure you don't have a crush on him? I'm like, no, I just love how much he loves her. He loves her. So it's just been a really fun thing to watch, and to watch Michelle just hold her own, be super confident, be very poised, very eloquent, communicate how she feels, also be very decisive and discerning on how she chooses to talk about certain things, and that she's quick. She's an inspiration. And I've just been really enjoying watching her create partnerships and relationships with these guys.
Definitely. And then following up, what do you wish you knew about the Fantasy Suite before going into it? And if you could give advice to these guys, obviously they've already gone through it, but if you could give advice to people going through that as well, what would it be?
Well, maybe on Clayton season,
Yeah, right.
Because that is more similar to my situation.
Right.
But I think taking advantage of the time, because you can talk about anything during those, 12 hours uninterrupted. I don't know how long, I can't remember how long it was, but it's use the time wisely. I know that I'm sure some of it is very, okay, well, I want to do things that we can't do on camera that I feel comfortable with. But for the most part, I feel like you can use that time to really have no guard, like your guard doesn't have to be up in any sense of the word, and you can be totally yourself. Like I remember in our Fantasy Suite, I think he like snuck in his iPad, which was like totally not good. And we just like listened to music and talked about what a normal day would be like. And yeah, you can do that besides the music. You can do that on camera, but it just is try to replicate as much as you can of what it's going to look like outside in the real world, so that you can see if you're actually compatible in the real world. Yeah. I think that that's something that we did really well, and use the time really wisely.
Yeah, definitely. What are your thoughts on Clayton? I feel like, watching this season, I didn't really get to know him so much, and I'm kind of feeling a little bit of a disconnect and not really understand why they didn't pick one of the top 4, but I want to get your thoughts on Clayton and if you're excited about the season.
I feel similarly, and I think that that's why they've been trying to at the end of the episode, they'll show clips of him talking with one of Michelle's students. And so I think that he's going to be a really compelling person to watch unfold. I mean, remember Juan Pablo, not that he's like the model of bachelors, but we didn't know anything about him. He didn't even have a one-on-one, and we watched him and his season unfold because he was a fan favorite. So I think it's going to be a similar situation where we don't have any real preconceived notions about Clayton. We know he's a nice guy. We know he's funny. He gets along with other guys, and he's good looking, and he has a really great family. So it'll probably be similar, I'm assuming, to Sean Lowe's season, where they cast really nice girls for him. But yeah, I'm excited to get to know more. And yes, of course, I'll be watching.
Christmas, the holidays right around the corner. I mean, how are you kind of preparing, and what are some of your favorite traditions that you have with the family?
So I just love being present with my family. And I actually have a partnership with Wyndham Grand about being present with your family during the holidays. I mean, this year it's going to be a really exciting year for everybody, because for the most part, we're all going to be able to reconnect with our families. And that is the most important thing to me, is not only getting together with family, but documenting it and then organizing it later. So what Wyndham Grand has is this very cool travel keepsake box that is all about organizing your memories from the holidays or from your travel time together. Because some people might be going places and having this uninterrupted, very specific time together, concentrated time. And for me, everything is a keepsake to me. When we're on a trip, when we're doing holiday stuff, like I will have even a tag of an ornament that I bought that I will know is so important to me, which sounds so silly, but really the whole picture of the holidays is little things that make up the whole picture. So instead of just your Christmas card that's really pretty, it's where did we go? What did we do? And so this travel keepsake box has compartments where you can organize all these things like tags of ornaments or whatever inside. And what Wyndham Grand people that are like staying at the hotels will be doing like in their property. So there's like a Clearwater property, but at a lot of these places around the country, they're surprising and delighting people that are staying there, like families, with these keepsake boxes and a Fujimax Instax mini camera. So one of the ones that has instant photos, which my kids absolutely love, so they can document their trip together. So all that being said, my favorite tradition is just being together and documenting being together.